What's up, guys, people of YouTube? So, I've got an interesting story to share with you guys. So, there I was, surfing the internet on Saturday, January 5th, reading about different stuff on different blogs, etc., etc. And I come to find out that there's some sort of big announcement to be made in the world of Pokemon on Tuesday, January 8th. So, when I saw that, I got to thinking, what could be so big that they had to label it a big announcement? And I mean, they're making such a big deal of this as well. So I couldn't really think what it could be. But then at that exact moment, what crossed my mind? Sixth generation. But then I said to myself, nah, they can't do that. I mean, you know, sixth generation coming out now. In my opinion, that would have been too early. But, you still never know. So I continued to browse the internet, see if I could find out more about this big news, and I come to find out that we would be getting the news in a Nintendo Direct broadcast, which will be broadcasted on January 8th, of course, and it'll be broadcasted across the different regions that support Pokemon, Japan, North America, Europe, etc., at the same time. So, you know, that got me to thinking even more. What could be such a big deal that they have to make a Nintendo Direct broadcast just about Pokemon, and it's going to be broadcasted across the different regions at the same time? So, this generation crossed my mind once again, but still I was thinking, still too early for that. And then I started to think third generation remakes. Third generation remakes something that people wanted for the longest while. Ever since Black and White came out, people have been wanting third generation remakes. Now, I myself, I'm a third generation fanboy. I myself wanted third generation remakes. But I got to thinking even more, and I said to myself, are they really going to make this much of a big deal out of some remakes? I mean, I don't know about when Heart Gold and Soul Silver were first announced, but I got to thinking that if Heart Gold and Soul Silver's announcement was as big as this one, then third generation remakes could be a possibility. But logically thinking, fanboydom aside, I started thinking sixth generation. But there's still really no way to tell. Now Tuesday, January 8th came, and I'm in Eastern time zone, so this direct broadcast would have been shown at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had school that same day, and my school starts pretty early. Not to mention, I still live pretty far away from my school, so I had to get up pretty early and leave the house before 6 o'clock, which means I wouldn't have seen the broadcast. So, you know, during school, during class, I'm a pretty impatient guy, not to mention, I'm a big Pokemon fan, so I couldn't really wait much longer. I asked the teacher to go to the bathroom, but really I went to the library, and I went on the computer in the library, and I searched the Nintendo Direct broadcast, and there it was, like a punch to the face. Sixth generation announced. Now, at that moment I said somebody better pick up the phone because I friggin' called it. I mean, although I myself am a fanboy of third generation and I wanted third generation remakes, logically thinking, I thought to myself sixth generation would have been announced. And sure enough, sixth generation was announced. So, there you go. So, yeah. So, I saw the trailer and all for sixth generation. And as it turns out, the two new games for sixth generation are Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. Now, when I first saw the names, I said to myself, what the frig? Like, they first went from colors to gems to colors again, and now letters. And then next thing you know, they're gonna come up with the third game in the sequence, which will be Pokemon Z. Psh. So then I started to laugh to myself. But then I got to thinking, Pokemon, the names Pokemon X and Y, or the letters, I should say, may have a deeper meaning than I may think. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who had that sort of reaction the first time I saw the names. So, you know, but the letters or the names may have a deeper meaning than we may think. May have a more scientific meaning, in my opinion. I haven't really decided to search on it yet, but I think I will eventually. But anyways, yeah, Pokemon X and Y. Well, the first thing we saw were the legendaries. That's the first thing you always find out about a couple of Pokemon games that come out. I always find out about the legendaries first, because legendaries are the mascots of the game. So, straight off the bat, I'm going to tell you that I think Pokemon Y's legendary looks better than Pokemon X's legendary. I'm telling you that straight off the bat. Why, you may ask? Well, Pokemon Y's legendary has this crimson color look about it. And it just looks pretty sick and badass in my opinion. And Pokemon X's legendary is just there. It just has its horns and, it's just there. Not to mention, it looks like an evolution or an improved version of Sawsbuck. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person who thought that when I first saw it. In fact, I still think so. So, the Pokemon Y Legendary looks more original in a sense, and it looks more badass. Unlike the Pokemon X Legendary, which just looks like an improved version of a regular old Pokemon. So, that's why I think Pokemon Y's Legendary looks better. So, yeah, I guess you can pretty much tell from that opinion that I'm getting Pokemon Y when the games come out. So, there you go. And then we saw some gameplay. Now, if you didn't know, 6th generation was announced for 3DS. But then again, how could you not know? It's been like almost a week since the games were announced. So yeah, 6th generation has been announced for 3DS. The graphics look pretty sick in my opinion. I mean, for one, our trainers, aren't short anymore. They actually have height. They actually have features you can see. So yeah, I think that's pretty sick. Second, all the buildings, the landscape and stuff like that, with the 3D graphics that the 3DS has, that's gonna look pretty sick. So yeah, there you go. Third, you can actually see the Pokemon, their bodies. They're not just sprites anymore. And that's pretty tight in my opinion. I've grown used to the sprites because they've been using sprites since the beginning. But, now that you can actually see the Pokemon's full body and whatnot, it looks pretty sick. And we saw some gameplay of the character swinging on a rope and all that stuff, which makes me think that this game will be more, fun and interactive, I guess, in a way, than the others, obviously. So, yeah, based on all we've seen of the gameplay, I think the game looks pretty amazing, and I think it'll be pretty fun to play as well. So, yeah, and next up, we have the starters. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to tell you that I think the Fire Starter looks the best. Why? Not just because it's the Fire Starter, and not just because it's a Fire Fox, although this isn't the only Fire Fox we have in Pokemon series, but it just has this look about it. It looks so damn sick. Sick in a good way. It just looks so tight and so boss. I just can't really explain it. You know, when I first saw the starters, that was the first one that appealed to me right away. So, and not just because it's the fire starter, because just like me, I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there who are Pokemon fans, usually pick the fire starter whenever they get the new game, or usually think the fire starter looks the best. And I must admit, I am one of those people, but this time around, I'm not only saying it looks good because it's a fire starter. I'm saying it looks good because I honestly do think it looks the best out of all three of them. Now, coming in a close second for me would be the water starter. At first, I didn't think it really appealed to me, but after a while, I started to grow used to it, and I think it looks pretty good. Not as good as the fire starter, but And coming in a low third is the grass starter. Why is it a low third? Because, well, it's not really saying anything to me. It's just there, you know? When a Pokemon is just there, it's not really saying anything about it through its design. Yeah, it's just there. So, so I guess it's pretty apparent which starter I'm going to choose when I get the games, huh? Yeah, and if you can't guess, then it's the fire one, obviously. Now, people have been starting to speculate about the types of the starters. Now, obviously, they're going to be the generic water, grass, fire. But, are they going to have secondary typings? And if so, what will be their secondary typings? Now, people have been saying that the grass starter looks like a grass and dark, but in my opinion, it looks like a grass and ground. But it would be pretty sick if it was a grass and dark, because I think the only other grass dark typing we have is Nuzleaf and Shift 3. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but no, the water starter, I must admit, he does look like if he could be a potential water slash fighting. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, I think that'd be pretty sick, in my opinion as well. I think the only other water fighting we have is Poliwrath. Nah, Poliwrath can't be only other water fighting there is. Feel free to correct me on that as well. And yeah. And the fire one, some people have been saying it looks like a fire and psychic, but others have been saying that based on the pattern that Pokemon games have been going through, it might be a fire and fighting. Now, they did fire and fighting 3 generations back to back. In 3rd gen, 4th gen, and 5th gen. It'd be pretty retarded if they did it in this generation as well. Then that'll be 4 generations back to back. We had a fire slash fighting for the starter. But, if it's a fire and psychic, that would be pretty tight. Why? Well, the only other fire psychic Pokemon there is Victini. So the second fire psychic Pokemon being a starter, that'd be pretty tight. And that would make the fire starter even more boss, in my opinion. So yeah. So that's my thought on Pokemon X and Y. I think the gameplay looks pretty boss from what we've seen. The starters, the grass one is just there for me, but the fire and water starters are looking pretty cool in my opinion. You already know my thoughts on the legendaries. I think Y looks better than X. X is just there. And yeah. Oh yeah, I also forgot to comment on what I think about the trainer designs. Yeah, they aren't really cutting it for me. I don't think they look entirely too bad, but they just don't look too good either, especially compared to the other trainers they were in the different games. These ones don't look really all that. Now, some people have been speculating that you are able to customize your trainer's clothes, which I think will be pretty boss, because then my trainer wouldn't have to wear the plain clothes that he's wearing. But if you can't, then so be it. I mean, I don't think the clothes look too bad. I just don't think they look too good either. So, there. So, yeah. I will be getting Pokemon Y, as you can pretty much guess. And I'll be starting off with the Fire Starter. Now, you can tell me what you think of the game. Tell me which legendary you think is best. Tell me which Pokemon game you'll be getting when these games are released in October. And, tell me which starter you will be starting off with. And yeah. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention that I think it's pretty boss that these games are going to be released at the same time in the different regions as well. It will be released in Japan, America, and Europe at the same time, same date, all that jazz. So yeah, that is pretty tight. So yeah, I'll see you guys next